AmyTarkanian is joining us this morning. I don't know what it is. I just don't like Rush. I don't.
You know, neither do I.
Yay!
I can listen to Led Zeppelin all day.
Yes.
From when I turned 18, I even had a Beatles bash. I love the Beatles.
Beatles the best.
But Rush,
No.
I'm sorry.
But they're very, very talented musicians, inducted is for politicians.
Just not my taste.
Yeah, it's just not happening for me. Hey, you're former head of the GOP in Nevada, and also your husband, Danny, as we all know, is won his primary, and he is going to be going into the general in a position
excited
for Congress. You should be, because everybody's saying that you guys are going to Washington.
Woohoo!
But everybody we're hearing from, but
my mom, Danny's mom.
Exactly. Yeah. But the question I have for you, obviously, as this has been going on with the kids, I'm kind of curious because you're a mom, and I know that you've got the most amazing heart. You and Danny are terrific parents. This had to have broken your heart to see what we've seen so far, politics aside, and not finger pointing and all that stuff. They're just not good pictures. Forget politics for a second, just to see these kids going through this. However they got there.
Yeah, I mean, it's gut-wrenching, but yeah, let's think about that, though. How did they get there?
I'm going back. I'm going back before we get to that.
What I'm saying is that the travel, that's part of the gut-wrenching story. Yeah. You're reading now stories, too, of a good chunk of these kids that have been kidnapped and being smuggled. And, I mean, think about this is a traumatic experience, for probably all of these kids. No matter how far they traveled, whether if they had to travel hundreds of miles by foot, if they were smuggled in the back of cars, if they were, however it is that they got there and didn't go through a port of entry with.
And some of them can't. And some of them can't get to a port of entry. They're not able to even get close to ask for asylum.
Port of entry. Yeah, that's true.
So let me ask you this: you've got to be seeing the president this weekend. I mean, there's just no way in hell you're not backstage with him. What would you want to say to him?
I technically will not be backstage with him. I'm a delegate at the convention, but my husband will be with him.
Got to be, because the president is the one who said, "Hey, Danny, you got to run for this office." I guess you knew what he was talking about, right? Yeah. What do you think Danny wants to say about this to the president? Because this was a screw up. This was completely avoidable. And the White House it just wasn't handled right. And I'm kind of curious what you guys have been saying to each other that should have been done. And forget finger pointing to Democrats in Congress. The president said, I can't do an executive order. And then he turned around and did an executive order.
Yeah. And that's going to be challenged in courts because of the 9th District.
Actually happening today, noon, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. I didn't know that was happening. So I'll have to take a look at that. But, there is a great website out there that has the myth versus fact, if people want to look up, and I'll retweet it too. And it's dhs.gov, and it lays it all out for people, on what's fact, what's fiction, and it's fantastic, because there's so many rumors out there, because like you're saying, don't point at Democrats, don't point at Republicans, but let's just really look at the laws, break it down, quit listening to Hollywood, quit listening to your next door neighbor, who thinks
email
they know
forwards.
It all. Yeah, exactly. Email forwards, everything on Facebook, all the memes that have been created, it's all nonsense. So just go to dhs.gov.
Now, here's my problem with it. Here's my problem with it. I don't believe them. And I'll tell you why. As a matter of fact, I don't know who to believe. I really don't know who to believe.
And that's tough. And you know what? And that's unfortunate. I think that's how most of us feel.
When you get up there and you have a performance like Kirsten Nielsen did on a Saturday, and what the hell was she doing in a Mexican restaurant the next day? I don't know. That was stupid. I just,
What do you mean?
Did you not hear that? She got shouted out, which I don't agree with. I'm just not that type of person. She goes to a Mexican restaurant. People find out that she's there. This is the night of her, after, that performance she gave. And so she's in a Mexican restaurant of all things. I would go Italian that night. You know what I mean?
Oh, good God. I mean, that's when people are getting a little nitpicky.
Well, yeah, but that's bad. You want to talk about, you want to talk about bad, vibes. Just don't go out for Mexican food.
You should have just stayed home and
ordered a pizza. Yeah, I'm thinking that. So let me ask you this, because as I said on the radio leading up to you, I think that as a parent, this worried you. That's your first and foremost worry, I know, about the kids. But putting on your political hat now, how do you think there's terminology, and I don't disagree with it, that this is President Trump's Katrina, perhaps especially with these reports that kids are being given drugs against their will, psychotropic drugs, and those are reports that we're getting now. And obviously
holy hell, yeah. I have not heard that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I know that would piss you off. This is not just a political thing. This is the type of thing that is not okay. Lawsuits are being filed on this. This, to me, could be...
in the school district alone, we're not even allowed to give our kids a Tylenol. So what the hell are they thinking?
Exactly. So this is... And you got a whole bunch of different agencies dealing with this. They don't have their act together very clearly. So that said, I think this could be President Trump's Abu Ghraib if pictures come out of this. I think it's much, much worse, and something has got to be nailed down. How is this going to deal with the president politically and with the GOP politically? Do you think that this is now wrapped up because of this document that he signed yesterday?
No, I hope that they're going to get this figured out. What it comes down to is they just want to make sure that we're following the law. It's a rule of law, and I get it. I don't think there's one sane, rational person out there that is enjoying watching the separation of families.
Except Stephen Miller does. I'm convinced of that.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, part company with you on that one.
If you really want to fix the problem and fix it quickly, did you read Senator Cruz's legislation?
Yeah, and I think that's what you do is leadership. You start off with somebody like him stepping up going like, well, this is wrong. Let's try and fix this. The House, by the way, kicking off votes right now.
It just says Cruz's bill would double the number of federal immigration judges, authorize new temporary shelters to house migrant families. That means keeping them together.
Yeah, but the president doesn't want judges. The president says he doesn't want judges, and that's where I think the president needs to step up and join Cruz.
That's what he does, though. He's a negotiator. He lays everything out, and then you got to pick and choose. Then both sides say, okay, I like this, don't like this, like this, don't like this. At least they start the conversation because there hasn't been a conversation. You can't do catch and release anymore.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that only 3% of those folks come back. That's nonsense.
But also the Justice Department's own figures say that that's completely opposite. It's 80%. So that's the problem that you get into.
Well, then there's another. Then who do you trust?
Well, and by the way, you're not wrong when you quote that, because that is from ICE. And then you have another government department that says it's complete opposite. So then you get in a situation where it is past politics. You're like, well, who the hell am I supposed to believe? All right, we're totally out of time, but I knew there was another reason why I liked you. You don't like Rush. By the way, the other thing too, especially.
Like Rush Limbaugh. All my Republican friends.
Exactly. Are you kidding? Rush Limbaugh is the reason why I can pay a mortgage, ladies and gentlemen. That guy's been taking care of me.
How about that?
Yeah, don't like Rush Hour. By the way,
out there.
Tell Danny that he's got to get some cufflinks from the president, because those are cool, and he's earned them now. that he did what the president wanted to do. He at least should get some cufflinks.
Yeah, we're excited to have him in our state of Nevada, so I think it'll be a good weekend.
As always, Amy, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day, Michael.
You too. AmyTarkanian, former head of the GOP, 742. Let's get to your traffic now with Izzy J.
Live from